Hey Kelly, here's Uni, my friend. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a tarot reading on your show. I actually created a tarot card spread just for all of these creative artists. I am here in the lovely city of Puerto Vallarta in the motherland of Mexico. So big shout out to all of my Latino American queer folks and everybody else in every single one of the marginalized communities. Us queer people, we're reclaiming our power. And before I get started, I just wanted to say cheers to you, my friend, and cheers to all of us. Like, congrats, guys, for kicking ass, for showing up, for creating despite the seemingly chaotic environment around us. Like, that's just a true testament to our power as queer people. And I love that. With that being said, if you'd like to reach me, you can find me at Aquarian_Sage or at Soulful of It Podcast. Again, thank you, Kelly, and congratulations on your show. And thank you to all of the artists who have participated within this to make this a real, living, breathing entity of itself. So let's dive right in. First, we're looking at what are our creative roadblocks. And for this reading in general, we're going to approach it from kind of this viewpoint of like, what is it that we as artists need in order to move forward or continue forward for the rest of the year. Our first card is the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups, at its core, in this position, it's really talking about how it is that we have our mental blocks that are getting in the way. And as you can tell from this card, it's a little bit chaotic, right? Like sometimes we're just all over the place with all of our thoughts and all of our ideas. Sometimes we feel like we have to make a choice, and in that kind of almost overwhelming feeling of having all these creative ideas and just the desire to really act upon each of them makes it a little bit difficult because you get a little bit of this analysis paralysis. It also like makes us have to choose between all of our passions. And the thing is, like, as an artist, we really move in and out of these creative flows. We're going from the liminal spaces into these like hyper creative places where we're almost being asked to take things from non-physical like void perspective and like pull it through and bring it back out. And this card is really inviting us to kind of hold back for a little bit, acknowledge that that's there. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to make any action right here, right now. Sometimes the whole point is just to allow ourselves to kind of have a little bit of this creative exploration with ourselves, because I think we have a culture that really hyper focuses on concentration as being like the hyper focused directed mental energy that we are putting into the creation of something. And on the opposite end, we have like meditation, which is almost creating this absence of in order to make space for something to come in through our own like circuit. But how often do we allow ourselves to really step into that contemplative space, which is really the key job of the mind, is to contemplate. To contemplate is to be creative, is to not be fixed on a certain outcome, of not be fixed on how it needs to look. It's really giving you this almost unlimited perspective of how it is that you can tap into all these creative channels without you being completely bound to the rigidity of the structure and how it's supposed to be applied, like brought out into the world. With that being said, our second card is looking at what creative energy are we being invited to work with currently. And for that, we have the wheel. And I love the wheel because if you look closely, you see all these little elements. You see that like center point, that X, and she's just chilling on top. And that's almost like a reminder for us to remember and not forget that at any given moment in time, we have all of these elements within us. Everything that is without is represented within. And as such, we can use that to leverage that, remembering that we're well supported in every moment. We are never without. And when we're looking at what creative energy we're being invited to work with in this scenario, it's really inviting us to work with whatever is currently here right now in the collective, in our own personal sphere of influence. What this means is that no matter what situation is going on within our lives, how can we stay grounded and centered within our own truth, so that as the environment is shifting, as all the variables are moving, how do we not get caught up within that flow? The more that we can stay rooted within our purpose and continue to create from that space, the more influence and almost like the more we allow other people to be pulled into our gravitational orbit, and in that sense we help stabilize the seemingly chaotic structures of the world. Also remembering that at its core, we are here to bring things through the channel. Like that's part of our life purpose. That's part of what we came into this world to be doing. So how can we illuminate that for ourselves so that we give others permission to really step into their own light and not be afraid to really tap into their own wisdom, their own gifts, their own gems that they are here to really share with the world. And the Wheel of Fortune is here to remind us of that. It's like you are the access point, you are the driver, you are the hand of God that's literally grabbing onto that wheel and like turning it. So are you going to be smashed underneath it, or are you going to rise above whatever situation and tap into your creativity, my friend? And our ally for overcoming these blocks is the Ten of Swords, which seemingly can be a little bit jarring. You have like these 10 swords sticking out of people. But you got to think about it this way, like 1 to 10 begin again. So now we're being offered this brand new opportunity to take from this experience what worked and leave behind what doesn't. It's also giving us this radical reclamation of what it is to grab hold of our own creative process, using our mind as the vehicle and the driver to which we use in order to really get through adversities. And this card for us, it's really asking us to trust ourselves and trust our mental processes. What we have to share with the world is unique. It's here for a purpose. And the more that we could ground into that, the more satisfied I think we will be overall with our, not only just our work, but the sense of fulfillment that comes from creating that work and putting it out into the world. Next, we're being invited to look at how it is that we can shift our focus into directions that are going to inspire us in new and exciting ways. And for that, we have the Four of Wands. And if you look at this card, you have a girl, she's like leaving her homework and going out to play, which again takes us back to that energy which I said about this. So how can we, instead of concentrating, meditating, how do we contemplate? How do we play within these mental spaces? We don't have to get shit done all the fucking time. Let's break away from that Capricornian narrative and really step into our own childhood innocence, which is really connecting us to the root of our magic. So we might be able to get more done. We might have new creative inspirations when we allow ourselves to play. And that's a reminder that it's okay to take breaks. I think we have a lot of this ingrained capitalism, especially being like queer and being a Latino American or Mexican American, whatever, what have you. This is really energy that we're all working with and moving through this year. So let's rewild into that. Next, we are looking at how we can continue to nurture this creative process for ourselves. And for that, we got the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is really asking us to take some space for ourselves. And what that means is that you should never feel like you have to do something. You should never feel like there isn't enough time for you to focus on your own creative endeavors. This also means tending to yourself, tending to your soul work, making sure that you are sleeping enough, that you are taking personal time, that you are nurturing the relationships and the people around you, so that in that way they're pouring into you as well. You see those trees? I like to think about it like a family of trees. You're connected to everything on this grid, my friend. And like those little points, those are the elements taking us back to that wheel again, all within you. So how can you light up, trust, root down, to rise up so that you can create the stability and the structure that you are looking for, which is important as an artist. You can't, if you don't have your creative space, and if you don't have that sacred space within yourself, then it's difficult for us to create, to be able to enliven, to motivate. And next we're going to be looking at how can we channel this creative energy into being. And for that, we have the Three of Cups. And the Three of Cups literally fucking speaks of community. It speaks of connection. It speaks of unity. And we're working within this Aquarian like paradigm right now. So it's all about community. It's all about lifting others up as we ourselves rise. All boats rise together, my friends. So this is also too about taking a deep, intimate look at yourself, like the aspects of yourself, your core wounding, your inner child, the inner caretaker, and how can we really be of reverence with all of those pieces of ourselves? How can we bring them all into ourselves and offer them a place at the table so that instead of them hijacking the system from time to time, we actually bring them in and are in this co-creative relationship with that, so that we could not only like lean on our creative inspiration, but also draw from those experiences that maybe were traumatic in some ways or that had wounding around it. And in that sense, we open it up to become a catalyst for our own personal transformation and the transmutation of that energy, allowing it to move on, move forward. And in the language of art, it's like, how do we take our bruised and broken hearts and literally funnel that into art? Because art is a universal language. It transcends everything. The soul speaks in images. So create, my friends, motivate, meditate. And then we have, lastly, what is the potential outcome of this? We have the moon. And the moon is mysterious. Obviously, it's like dark. But it's in the dark that we grow. It's through the process of being within these deep liminal spaces that we then create the environment to really cultivate a deeper awareness of ourselves. And the moon is always just reflecting our own inner light at us. And if you think about it, art is kind of like that, because it's something that in the moment, before it's put out on the table in front of us, before it's moved through the channel, it's an unknown. It's literally the void. It's the abyss. It's the discomfort that we all feel. But in a sense, when you are a creator, you are the closest to the creator, because you in his image and their image, and are able to take something from a non-physical perspective, and you're bringing it down and transforming it through your own channel, through your heart center, through that love that we have, that's just like so magical. And I think especially for us like queer folk, we have this extremely potent, beautiful capacity to love and to hold. And when we're able to really align that with what it is that we're creating and putting out into the world, we're making shift happen. And I think we are now starting to take our place back as healers in this world, as empowered individuals to really help others illuminate their own path. So in that sense, it's like we're charting unknown territories right now, but we are using our heart's compass to guide us through that so that we could illuminate those spaces within, allowing that light to pour in. And in that sense, we are bringing forth the most profound and intensely authentic versions of ourselves, which then becomes inspirational, motivational for others to take charge and do the same. And a quick recap for that, my friends, is our busy minds want to get the best of us sometimes. You have everything that you need in this moment right now. It's time to put all those thoughts to rest if they aren't helping you, if they aren't feeding your soul, and get out there and play more. Like, fuck this work hard. Play hard too. And take some space for yourself. Honor and be in reverence to your community, to your culture, to your deepest, most profound wounding and tending, and also to your shadow aspects, because all of that is bringing illumination that may be in the dark right now, but pretty soon that shit's gonna come around and it's gonna be right in front of you, and then you get to choose. You get to choose. What path do you want to take? It's a new adventure every day, my friends. So get out there and write your stories. And thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show, Kelly. I love you. I hope that this ends up being just the start of something huge for you. And that being said, my friends, my fellow creative artists, and witches, warlocks, I'm sending big, heartfelt love, hugs, all of the things. And with that, choose.